Great start there from the front row of the grid.
Someone's down, yeah. That's Maxwell.
It looks like Wayne Maxwell has unfortunately stepped off down there at the spokes.com.au. That might be the end of his championship challenge as well. Troy Herfoss will be the champion with 298.5 points and an unassailable lead over the rest of the field. 1 corner to go for Prix Halliday to take the race win and be crowned Kawasaki Supersport champion for 2018.
They're side by side, Phil. He's round.
Oh, close than that, Maxie's gone down.
Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit, one of the most spectacular tracks in the world. We started here and we finish here. It is round 7, our final round for the 2018 season, the Yamaha Motor Finance Australian Superbike Championship, presented by Motor Pirelli. Hello from Emma Francesco and Steve Martin. And well, Winton was absolutely spectacular. Prix Halliday wrapped up the Kawasaki Supersport Championship, and a big congratulations also, Steve, to Troy Herfoss wrapping up the YMI Superbike Championship.
Yeah, there certainly was some fantastic racing there, Emma. But I'll tell you what, the racing's not over yet, because we are in for a cracker of a weekend here at Phillip Island.
Especially around this track, a nice long straight, 12 corners. It is a crowd favourite. Steve, what do we need to know about this place?
Well, I'll tell you what, there's a lot of slipstreaming to be had. There's a lot of high-speed corners here, a lot of overtaking opportunities as well. So one thing is for sure, the races today will be action-packed.
We are getting ready for the second and final YMI Superbike race for the weekend, and the final one for the season, Steve Martin. And I think Troy Herfoss summed it up when he said that it's been the most competitive season for such a long time, and it was a bit of a surprise to everybody that he was able to emerge victorious at every round of the championship, bar the first round here at Phillip Island, where Brian Starring was the round winner.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Team Honda, the Penrite Honda team, did a fabulous job throughout the year. They did all the hard work early, and that is the easiest way to win a championship, to leave yourself a little bit of room at the back end of the year. And he's needed it here because he hasn't been on the pace this weekend so far. We know that he wants to try and get there if he can. He's got one more opportunity to match it with the three guys that have been really fast this weekend. Of course, Josh Waters has been superb, Wayne Maxwell incredible, and Troy Bayliss is always there, isn't he? So Troy Herfoss will have made some changes to his bike, and hopefully he can be joining that group in this race today.
Herfoss had only finished off the podium once until he wrapped up that twice until he wrapped up that championship at the second round at Winton. Down on the grid, that's where he's sitting at the moment. So is Emma. She's down there on the grid.
Brian Starring, you had an issue with your quick shifter, put you to the back of the grid for that last race, but it's a new race and you're starting from third position, which is good news.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, these things happen, and you know, my team's been really good all year, and you know, you see the best teams in the world slip up with something really minor going wrong. So look, that's the way it goes. Pretty unlucky for the first race. Obviously, that kind of stuff can happen at any time over the weekend. You can never predict it, but look, for race 2, everything's in order. We still got back out in race 1 and got some good information from the tyre and everything. So yeah, look, big thanks to Berry Sweet Strawberries and Wallace Risk and my Kawasaki BC Performance team. We'll see what we can do out here in race 2.
Thanks, Brian. Good luck.
Thank you.
He's shown plenty of pace this weekend, hasn't he, Steve Martin, Brian Starring? And he also won the first round, as we mentioned, but he also took a race victory at the first round.
Yeah, I can't help but feel really sorry for him, though, because at this year, that team have had to pick their moments to get those victories. And this morning was a moment that they could have had a victory. Let's head back down to M.
Josh Waters, you finally got that first win for 2018. Well done. Can you make it two?
Try my hardest. That's what I need to do. So the first race was really exciting. This next one's going to be really hard, but yeah, I've worked with the team, Team XR Suzuki. We're going to make this GSXR hopefully a little bit better, and I'll try my hardest in this one.
Good luck. Thanks, Josh.
Thanks.
I think not only was it the happiness of scoring a race win, there was also a certain amount of relief for Josh Waters that he'd actually been able to finally get a win in 2018. Came into this year as the defending champion, and it's surprising to see him not stand on that top step of the podium until the last race, back down to M.
Hey, Troy Bayliss, what a busy weekend for you. You flew out last night, went to the Supercross in Melbourne, came back this morning, and from Phil Harlem and Steve Martin, we're all wondering where our invite was in that chopper, thanks.
What was that one, sorry?
We're all just wondering why we didn't get a seat in your chopper, myself, Steve Martin and Phil Harlem.
It was pretty full. We had Simon and we had a couple of guys from Race Safe that needed to be there. But yeah, it's been full on. But everything went well. It was a great night last night, and like today, it's been great.
And enjoy the champagne tonight.
Might have.
Ooh, will you have one drink? It's been a while.
I'll have a little beverage with Kimbo, and then that'll be me.
Enjoy. Thanks, Troy.
Thanks, guys.
Troy Bayliss, 49 years old, and I don't think I've seen him looking fitter.
No, he's definitely on it. When he decides he's going to do something, he does it properly, he does it right. And Troy Bayliss, he could have won earlier on today. He's definitely a weapon, and you know what? Don't count him out. In the next half an hour, he might have another Superbike win under his belt.
Well, he's already had one this year at Darwin, Hidden Valley Raceway. Hasn't been able to crack it for a win since. Back down to Emma on the grid.
Troy Herfoss, our champion for 2018. Now, the guys ahead of you are a part of a very big battle because they're fighting for second at the moment. Bit of work to do from fifth.
Yeah, a bit of work to do, but I really want to do better than race one. I made some mistakes and had some bad luck in turn one. So the aim is to improve on that, and yeah, I'd like to be able to see the battle for second in the championship. Maybe even get in there amongst it.
Go get him. Good luck.
Thank you.
Bit of bad luck. That's probably an understatement. He was lucky to keep the bike on track at turn one, Steve Martin.
Yeah, absolutely. And that battle, there's only 10 points between Wayne Maxwell, who's in second at the moment, Josh Waters and Troy Bayliss. So you can expect that to be super hot in the next half an hour.
Well, and the big thing from race one was that Josh Waters moved from fourth in the championship up into third.
Yeah. Well, everybody's had an opportunity now, though, to tweak their bikes. Actually, when you get on the race like that, you can make small adjustments. This could be a whole different thing. Let's head down to M.
Glenn Allerton, so fantastic to have you back on the grid for the last race, or the last round for 2018. How's the body? How's the bike? You ready for a big one?
Yeah, I'm ready for a big one. The body's pretty good. It was interesting to get back into the race battle again and to get fourth. That first one was great. I'd love to get on the podium this afternoon. It's going to take some hard work, but I'm up for the challenge and can't wait to get going.
Good luck.
Thanks.
It was a great ride from Glenn Allerton, and also one of the great things we've seen about the season so far, we had 4 different manufacturers of motorcycle in that top 4.
Yeah, it was an incredible battle, and that's what we like to see too. We like to see all the manufacturers up there, and that is what the rules that we have here at ASBK suit beautifully. It's a really good mix. You can pick whatever brand you like, and they're all competitive, and that allows somebody like Glenn Allerton, who's just come back from injury, get that 4th last time out. He's back in race rhythm now, and you know what? I think that he's got through that first lap, that first race. He's up for it. Let's head back down to M.
Wayne Maxwell, your 20th career pole. Congratulations. Fighting for second in the championship. What's your strategy for this one?
Yeah, we really need to win this race and to really guarantee that's going to happen. So that's the easiest way to do it. So we'll just go for the win. We're so close in race 1, had really good pace. And yeah, so same again in race 2 and just enjoy the last one for the year.
Thanks, Wayne.
No worries.
Good on you, Wayne.
7.5 points.
One more.
Ahead of Josh Waters in the battle for the championship. The distance between first and second, Steve Martin, is 5 points. The distance between first and third is 7 points.
What an incredible qualifying time he did, though. 32.0 blitzed the Australian Superbike lap record and qualifying record yesterday to put him on that pole, the 20th, I think it was, they said, of of his career, and boy, he is in the form of his life at the moment.
Well, and a new lap record for Troy Bayliss in race number 1 as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't go talking too much about lap records now, because I think they're about to break. Let's head back down to M.
Daniel Falzon, you started on the back foot this weekend. Some issues with your setup. What sort of changes have you made for this one?
Just some geometry changes with the bike over the weekend, and we managed to find something quite significant in warm-up this morning and improved from P6 to P5 in race 1. So I was quite happy about that. We just want to be a little bit closer to the front and make sure we're always competitive.
Can you do me a favour and throw up to the boys?
Back up to the boys. Phil and Steve upstairs.
Thanks very much, Daniel Falzon. This is the first time I think Daniel Falzon's thrown to us all year. Have a look at some highlights of Superbike race number 1 as we get ready for race 2. It was a great start for Brian Starring from the front row of the grid on board that BC Performance Kawasaki, but Josh Waters led the race early on.
Absolutely. It didn't take long for that front group of 3 to pull away from the group behind them either, but it was on. We thought that Bayliss was dropping off the back, but boy, were we far from wrong. Waters was out the front there, his hand off the handlebar for a second. Don't know what he was doing there, but then it was Wayne Maxwell's turn to take his lead, his shot at glory.
And when Wayne Maxwell went to the lead, you could see Josh Waters did nothing but just glue himself to the back of the factory Yamaha YZF R1M. And Troy Bayliss had this massive moment coming out of the Kawasaki, or heading down towards Kawasaki corner, and we thought that his challenge may have been done and dusted. 1 lap later, he was in the lead.
Yeah, I think he said, you know what, I've had enough of these boys. I'm going to get out and show them how it's done. Well, he did for a little bit, but then Wayne Maxwell went back out in front, but Bayliss wasn't having any of it. He went round the outside, as did Josh Waters, but then this happened. Josh Waters up the inside, got a sneaky little pass on Wayne Maxwell there, had a little bit of a kiss. They made up afterwards though, and put himself in the perfect position to take the victory over the line, with Wayne Maxwell in second and Bayliss very close in third.
Yeah, Troy Bayliss, by his own admission, fell foul a little bit of the back marker there that stopped his charge to the line, but Josh Waters timed it absolutely perfectly and took his first race win from the year, with Wayne Maxwell in second and Troy Bayliss in third. And as we mentioned, Glenn Allison in fourth, with our reigning champion, or the newly crowned champion, Troy Herfoss, back in 6th place behind Daniel Falzon.
Yeah, let's hope he can get a better start. Let's also hope that that man, Brian Starring, can be competitive in this race. Let's hope that he has no issues like he had in race 1, and I believe that if that is the case, he's going to be up there. Remember, Starring on the BC Performance Kawasaki actually won a race at the start of the year at Phillip Island.
There's a problem back here for someone on the grid. Their bike is being pushed off to the side of the grid. Hopefully we'll get underway for our warm-up lap in very short order. We don't want those bikes sitting on the grid for too long. Wayne Maxwell putting the visor down. He's looking like he means business as Sam Phillips signals. There is 4.45 kilometres of warm-up lap to go before we go racing. 12 hectic laps to finalise the 2018 YMI Superbike season.
Yeah, and I've got a feeling they're going to be very, very hectic. Ted Collins there on the number 29 next-gen machine. He got a great result in race 1 earlier today as well, as one of the rookies. He's vying for the rookies title at the moment.
That result was so good, Steve Martin, that put him in the lead of the 2018 Rookies Championship, ahead of Arthur Cece's and Mark Kyoto, who led going into the first race of the weekend. Is now back to 3rd place. We just saw him there briefly on your screens, bike number 30, Josh Waters' teammate in the Team Suzuki X-Star Australia camp.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think Marcus Kyoto, if I remember correctly. That looks like Patrick Lee, who's pushed his bike off to the side of the track there, so not the best start for him, but at least he can prepare that machine for next year's championship. Well, there's a big field, starting with Wayne Maxwell on pole, Josh Waters in 2nd position, and Brian Starring on row 3.
Row 2 is Troy Bayliss, who was on the podium in the first race. Troy Herfoss, the new champion for 2018, and Daniel Falzon having his first year in the factory Yamaha camp.
Glenn Allerton's there on row 3 with Matty Walters, good ride by him, and Ted Collins on row 3.
Arthur Cece's, who's in the battle for the Rookie Championship, start out of row 4 in position 10, along with Mark Kyoto and Glenn Scott.
Mitch Levy, Jamie Stafford and Kyle Buckley on row 5.
Mitch Reeves, Mason Cooten, Al Phillips, who's had a difficult weekend, out of row 6.
Lockie Epis, Matt Tooley, Adam Senior is there on row 7.
With Phil Char, Patrick Lee, we saw him pushing his bike off the grid. He won't start out of position number 23, and Yanni Shaw on row 8.
Good to see Yanni Shaw there as well. Brendan McIntyre, David Barker, and also Evan Bowles from South Australia round out row 9.
massive field of superbikes here this weekend, Steve Martin. I think there was 29 or 30 of them started out the weekend.
31 started the weekend, and you can see them all there. Boy, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of bikes to carve your way through, isn't there, Phil?
And as we mentioned, it is the hardest season that we've seen for so long. There is so much talent in this field. We've been talking all year. A top 15 is an excellent result.
Keep an eye on that number 61. That's Arthur Cece's. He is a bullet of a starter, isn't he? You can almost guarantee he's going to be at turn one some point, somewhere near the front.
Was it fourth? He was into turn one. Final YMI Superbike race for the 2018 season about to get underway. Wayne Maxwell starts from pole position. Josh Waters in second. Great start from the front row of the grid. A great start from Brian Starring on board the BC Performance Kawasaki. Keep our eye on Arthur Cece's as they make their way down towards turn one. There he is on the inside, bike number 61 up the inside, and he goes up to about 5th or 6th position from the third row of the grid.
Good result for him, but is that Josh Waters back in the middle of the pack in about 5th? He's got a little bit of work to do from there if he wants to make his way to the front. Daniel Falzon's in that group too now, but Brian Starring with a much better start this time round. He'll be quite relieved with that start.
The Pharaoh of Phillip Island, Wayne Maxwell leads them as they head out towards Kawasaki corner and down towards the YMI corner, turn 4 for the first time. Bayliss, a good start from him too, up into 3rd place. Josh Waters around the outside of Daniel Falzon, taking the long way around YMI corner, turn 4 for the first time.
Glenn Allerton with a lot of work to do there. He's back in about 9th position at the moment, so definitely not the start he wants. He's just behind Troy Herfoss, who is behind Arthur Cece's at the moment.
Yeah, the Australian Championships wrapped up in that little two-man battle between Glenn Allerton, the 3-time Australian Superbike champion, and Troy Herfoss.
But look at Wayne Maxwell out front at the moment. He is not wasting any time. He's already got a couple of bike lengths lead there. Bayliss is hanging right on the back of Brian Starring now. I wouldn't be surprised if he tries to make a move pretty soon.
Oh, Cece's having a tight line there. Is that Michael Edwards on board his Yamaha? Yes. Looks like he's taken a bit of a detour.
Yeah, that is Michael Edwards from Queensland.
Let's get an update on what happened to Patrick Lee from Emma.
Patrick, tough luck. What was the problem there?
Yeah, today was good race in the race 1, and I did my PB, and race 2, unfortunately, the bike couldn't stop because of the battery wrong flat. Yeah, but I'm looking forward to next year's season. Yeah, it's beautiful weather.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bayliss there just looking for a way up the inside, Phil. He's not hanging around. I think that he feels that he needs to be right behind Wayne Maxwell. Wayne Maxwell's your danger man, and I'll tell you what, Josh Waters has got a lot of work to do. There's a big gap now from Bayliss back to Waters.
Yeah, we'll keep our eyes on the lap times. On the first flying lap, there wasn't that much between the lap times, but this top 3 have just started to break away a little bit. Josh Waters is leading the charge forward, and look who's right on his tail. It's his teammate, Mark Kyoto, who earlier on this weekend said that Josh is hopeless as a teammate because he doesn't give him any information.
Well, I'll tell you what, he's learning a lot right now, sitting behind him. If he can stay there for the rest of the race, he'll find himself in a good position. 5th is a pretty impressive start for Mark Kyoto at the moment, in front of the reigning champion, Troy Herfoss even.
Yeah, Arthur Cece's and Ted Collins, the top 3 rookies, are all in the top 10 in this race, with Matt Walters on board the Rover Coaches, Swan Insurance, Kawasaki rounding out the top 10 at the moment, with Mitch Reese, Glenn Scott, Mitch Levy back there in 11th, 12th and 13th position as well.
So I'll tell you what, as the Gaggle head down into Pirelli corner, it's looking pretty ominous there at the moment for Wayne Maxwell. He's just managing to hold out that couple of bike lengths lead, but Brian Starring, he's just there, he's hanging in there, he's not really losing too much. His bike's looking stable. You compare it to Bayliss. You saw Bayliss's bike moving around, but Bayliss has got a great drive there. He's definitely going to try and nip up the inside, which he does. He can't do it, Starring too strong into turn 1.
Yeah, and Brian Starring's BC Performance Kawasaki seems to get great drive out of that last corner. We saw it the first round. It's certainly got no shortage of top speed, and the Kawasaki is well suited to some tracks that we go to throughout the year, not so well suited to others. This is one track where it really is suited.
The team and package work brilliantly at this track, and I think Brian just needs to hang in there where he is for the first half of the race, and it'll come to him in the second half. But Bayliss is going around the outside. He's definitely not hanging around.
We saw in the first race he was keen to try a few different lines and take lines that don't seem to work for other people. Closing in from behind though, Josh Waters, fastest man on track on the last lap at 32.5. He was at least 0.3 of a second faster than 2 of the riders in that lead group.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to think at the moment that Wayne Maxwell is starting to look after his tyres, but with Brian Starring under pressure, he's put the hammer down. He's a lot closer than he's been to the man in front now on the 47 machine.
Across the top of Lukey Heights and down into turn 10. We are on lap 3 of the 12-lap race.
Look at Waters. That gap has completely evaporated. He's there.
Yep, he's right with them now. We have a 4-bike battle for the lead. The only question is, Steve Martin, Josh Waters has made up a lot of room. How much damage has he done to those Pirelli tyres early on in this race, trying to catch back up to this lead group?
Well, he's done it in one lap, so he's hammered them in one lap. Hopefully, that's okay. If it took him 3 or 4 laps, I would say too much, but I reckon that in the one lap he can now afford to back off and take it nice and easy. Just sit in that slipstream for a bit, let everything cool down, let the temperature come down in that rear tyre on the left-hand side. It should be interesting to see. 9/10 of a second faster. Brian Starring has now taken the lead. We can see that his bike was close on the straight, fast on the straight. He said that he was a lot closer through the back of the circuit than he was on the first lap. Bayliss has gone with him and he's now up into second place as well. Did Wayne Maxwell just let them go past, and he'll sit back there now and let others do a little bit of the donkey work? Down to the pits with Emma.
Calvin Riley, tough luck for that first one, but good news, Brian just moved up to first, looking strong.
Yeah, no, we're pretty comfortable our race pace. Unfortunately, we had a small technical problem in the first race, and obviously it's still a long race to go, and it's pretty close with those top 4, so let's see what happens.
Thanks for a great 2018, Calvin.
No, thank you guys, thank you.
It's going to be interesting to see what sort of pace he can maintain now, but I tell you, when I'm just looking at his Kawasaki at the moment, he's just touching the gas. There's a little bit of movement from the rear, like sharp little movements. He won't be happy with that. He needs to be nice and smooth, so he's going to be really smooth on the throttle. But I reckon that if he can maintain this pace to the end, the other guys might just drop off as tyre wear comes into play. He's one of the smoothest guys out there, is Brian Starring. You can see that right now. Look at this as they come around the corner here. Bayliss' thing normally starts to move around. Whoa, it was Starring that was moving around this time.
Coming down to complete 4 laps in this race, it is Troy Bayliss pulling out of the slipstream. Can't get down the inside of Brian Starring's BC Performance Kawasaki. So Starring maintains the lead. Bayliss in second. Josh Waters has now moved up into third place, getting the better of Wayne Maxwell. 4-bike battle for the lead has opened up a massive gap now, about 4 seconds over Mark Kyoto, who's in 5th place, Glenn Allerton in 6th, Arthur Cece's in 7th, Ted Collins in 8th, Matt Walters in 9th, and Glenn Scott in 10th. Troy Herfoss is outside of the top 10.
I was going to say, don't stop there, because Herfoss is 11th at the moment, so this weekend not working out for him, unfortunately. But meanwhile, back at the front, Brian Starring has found something. He's commanding this race at the moment. The rest of the group behind him, Josh Waters making his way through the pack. Fastest man on track was Josh Waters with a 32.2 a couple of laps ago.
Starring leads as they make their way up through KTM corner into the top of Lukey Heights.
There's still a long way to go in this one. Imagine the tyres when they're new, they have ultimate grip. After about 5 or 6 laps, the rubber on the tyre is not what provides the grip, it's the carcass. And we're getting to that point, and that's when bike setup is key in the race. So right now, they're starting to not rely on the original grip they have, but on the bike setup. So now we're going to see where they really set in the next 4 or 5 laps.
Herfoss has got a problem. He's back to 16th position now, so there is some issue with the Penrite Honda. The first time they've actually had an issue all year, because as we mentioned, he had won every round since the second round of the championship. Coming in here this weekend, championship already decided at the last round, but the real question is now, what is going to be the final finishing order for positions 2, 3 and 4, Steve Martin, with Bayliss, Waters and Maxwell in positions 2, 3 and 4 in this race, battling it out for those final championship positions.
Well, the man in second in the championship at the moment is in 4th position. That is Wayne Maxwell, so he'll want to make his way forward. Bayliss is looking pretty there if he stays in 2nd position. It's going to be very, very tight.
Thought Bayliss was having a big look up the inside of Brian Starring there.
Yeah, you know what? I think he is having a look, but Brian Starring's so strong on the front. He really trusts the front as he dives into the corners. I don't think Bayliss is going to do it there. I think he's going for the drive out of this final turn, the spokes.com.au turn 12, to head down that straight, get a slipstream and try and get him into turn 1. The problem is when he gets there, Starring's just once again too deep, and that Kawasaki is fast.
You can see Bayliss was in the slipstream, and it's a desperate braking manoeuvre down the inside that finally gets Troy Bayliss to the lead of this race on board the Desmo Sport Ducati, and he celebrates by laying a massive black line on the way out of turn 1 towards turn 2. Around through Suzuki corner now. It is the Desmo Sport Ducati 1299 final edition Panigale that leads from the Kawasaki ZX-10, Suzuki GSX R1000 in 3rd place, and the Yamaha YZF R1M in 4th.
I'll tell you what, that was a great lap. They're lapping at the flat 33s at the moment. That's a pretty fast pace for these guys. And Bayliss now, I'll tell you what, he's looking pretty composed out the front. In race 1 earlier today, his bike was moving around a little bit more than it is now, but out there, it's looking pretty good.
Let's have a look at the replay of this move, and you can see that Bayliss stayed in the slipstream for as long as he possibly could, but then it wasn't the slipstream that got him past, it was desperation on the brakes, and there's that massive big black line out of motor corner.
Absolutely. He took a gulp, then he grabbed the brake lever. That was the only way to get past Brian Starring. He did it, and he maintains the lead at the moment. Now Starring's got to do all that hard work again, but I'll tell you what, I've got a feeling he's going to get a good drive. I reckon he'll shoot back past Bayliss down the straight.
Dale Breed on the left, Phil Tayton, the Suzuki tuning guru, on the right. Looking on there from the Team Suzuki X-Star Australia garage. Just having a look at those lap times, Steve Martin. They are slower than what they were in race number 1.
They are. The track is hotter, but the battle is better because it's 4. But I tell you what, look at the lead that Bayliss is stretching out now. He's actually got a bike length. They've caught him up. But I reckon Bayliss has got the pace to pull away from these guys.
And Troy Bayliss, his bike is actually looking a lot better than what it did at this stage of race number 1, Steve Martin. It's not moving around anywhere near as much, and that is the place that we could tell that from, because in race number 1, the bike was all over the show coming out of Suzuki corner turn 2 and on the run down towards Kawasaki turn 3.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, perhaps he was taking it just that little bit off the fastest pace that he could do for the first half of the race, sitting back in the pack. Now he's decided to go with 4 laps left, and last time through it was a 33.0. Compare that to his fastest lap of the race, a 32.8, 1 minute 32.8. That is pretty consistent racing.
Herfoss back to 15th place, another high-profile retiree, Daniel Falzon, on board the factory Yamaha, also out of this race, bike number 25.
Yeah, Bayliss has had a pretty fair share at the lead at the moment. I don't think we've seen what Josh Waters can do just yet either. We remember how aggressive he was on the brakes earlier on in the race earlier today into Honda corner there, turn 4. He was the man to beat. So as things get closer to the end, I think you'll see some desperate moves start to happen.
I'd love to see in the second half of the season a stat on how many race laps each man's led. Troy Bayliss would have to be right up there.
Big wobble there by Bayliss. That could hamper his top speed as they head down the straight. Looks like Josh Waters has pulled out of the slipstream too, but he can't do it. Starring's gone up the inside.
I think you called that right. It was a big moment coming onto the straight for Troy Bayliss. Hampered his drive, and the lightning fast BC Performance Kawasaki was able to get up the inside. Josh Waters was right in the slipstream of the Kawasaki and couldn't quite get the job done on Bayliss as well as they came down into motor corner turn 1. Bayliss starting to move around a bit now.
He certainly is, but he's trying a little bit harder now. Big slide on the way in there too. Bayliss is looks like he's almost riding a motocross bike there, the way he sits on that bike.
Well, maybe he took some from the Supercross last night where he went to watch it.
Yeah, maybe he did, but I tell you what, I'd much rather see him here than on a motocross bike, because this is pure magic.
It is pure magic. We've got Brian Starring, the 3-time Australian champion. He's the only rider to have won a 125 championship, a Supersport championship and a Superbike championship, and he currently leads this race. There's that moment that you spoke of, Steve Martin, that hampered Troy Bayliss's drive. Look at Starring, Waters right in his slipstream, and they were ahead by the time they got to turn 1.
Hello, Maxwell's joined the fray. He's there going around the outside over the top of Lukey Heights into the Pirelli corner. Marcus Chiodo with a technical problem there. So unfortunately that's his race over, but Wayne Maxwell's saying, right, it's time, now or never. I've got 3 guys to get past if I'm going to win this one. Let's head down to him.
On a racing garage, checked in with Dion. He has no idea what the issue is for Troy Herfoss at the moment. We'll keep you updated.
Right, that's unfortunate for Troy Herfoss, but it looks like it's all over for him for this weekend and this year. But back up the front, it is the Kawasaki man who leads, but briefly because Bayliss has gone back up the inside. Brian Starring, has he won wide? He's held that position.
He went around the outside of Troy Bayliss in turn 1. Waters has gone up the inside of Bayliss as he ran a fraction wide going into Suzuki corner turn 2. He's also got high and wide on the outside, and Wayne Maxwell looking to try and get the drive out of turn 2 and down towards turn 3. We're on lap 10. I think the game has really just stepped up a notch now. We're in the final phases of the 2018 season, and Brian Starring is leading from Josh Waters, who scored his first race win in the previous race earlier on today.
Yeah, absolutely. Another man that hasn't won for a long time, though, is the man on the Kawasaki, Brian Starring, the BC Performance rider. Boy, it's been a long time, the start of the year.
First round and the final race of the first round was the last time Brian Starring was on the top step of the podium. As we make our way up through KTM now, Josh Waters is right on the back of the BC Performance Kawasaki. This is going to be a very interesting run around down the straight this time, because the run to the final straight and the flag starts right here, Steve Martin.
It certainly does, but I'll tell you what, Waters now, he's been sitting back there. He will have been looking after that tyre, and we know that he's strong on the front. Keep an eye into turn 4, into YMF corner down there, because I reckon that's where he'll strike. I think he knows that Starring's strong into turn 1. Probably not the place to do it. Probably not the lap to do it. If there's a little bit of a gap, he'll wait. He needs to bide his time.
Well, the interesting little footnote is as well, we've got a 4-bike battle. We have 3 riders on Pirelli tyres and 1 on Dunlop's. Brian Starring, who was very wide. Oh, Mitch Reese has gone down on bike number 94. That looked like turn 10. And Josh Waters, he's gone up into the lead.
I take back everything I just said, because I tell you what, he's done it. He's confident. He's going for it. And he really has doing an incredible job out front. It's Josh Waters at the moment.
Well, as they came across the start-finish line, there was 9 kilometres to go in this race. We're on the 11th lap of the 12-lap journey.
Watch Starring
up the inside, and he pushes Waters wide. Bayliss runs up the inside, goes around the inside of both of them. Takes the race lead, as Troy Bayliss on board the Desmo Sport Ducati, and he leads them through Siberia on this, the penultimate lap. 1.5 laps to go. Bayliss in the lead, Starring in second, and Wayne Maxwell trying to find a way past the 3 of them in 4th place.
No point worrying about tyre wear now. Now you're just seeing what these guys have got. They've laid it all on the line. Maxwell's there in the background. What's he going to do? Can he stick his nose into the party?
Bayliss leads across the top of Lukey Heights and down in towards turn 10. The run down the straight for the penultimate time will start here, with Bayliss getting good drive out of turn 10, Starring right on his tail as well.
He needs to be careful out of the next turn, turn 12. That's where he needs to get good drive. If he doesn't, he's going to get sucked up by the guys down the straight and into turn 1. We know how fast Brian Starring is there. He's got to hold it together. That's pretty smooth. He stands the bike up early, but he gets that bit of a bobble. Every time the bike does that, it slows it down. Starring off the track a little bit. That might just be enough. Bayliss might be able to hold it into turn 1. If he does, he's half a chance. Around the outside goes Josh Waters.
The exact same thing that Brian Starring did on the last lap. Look at Wayne Maxwell also trying to find his way through as well as they come down towards turn 2. The Suzuki corner is the Suzuki right on the back of Troy Bayliss' Desmo Sport Ducati. Brian Starring still hanging on to 3rd, and Wayne Maxwell desperately trying to find a way past. He couldn't get his head any further underneath the screen, could Wayne Maxwell, as they come down to turn 4 for the final time.
Watch Bayliss, he's got to go up the inside. He always takes a wide line here, but there goes Josh Waters. How strong is he on the front? He runs wide again. Bayliss is through on the inside, but it's Waters who takes the lead.
Waters through Siberia in the lead, elbows out. He's riding the GSXR 1000 motocross style as they make their way up towards the hay shed now for the final time. I think we're pretty safe that there's no back markers going to get in the equation in this race, Steve Martin. Bayliss in second. You can see Bayliss' bike two-wheel drifting into KTM corner. And as they come up towards the top of the hill now, Brian Starring is trying to set himself up to come down the inside at turn 10.
Maxwell's out of this. Maxwell's off the back of the pack at the moment. Waters closed the line. Waters is off. I can't believe it. Waters has gone down. It's incredible. Oh, I can't believe it.
Waters come down, there's a flame underneath the bike, but I think it's okay. It might have just been coming out of the exhaust. That's pretty much secured second place in the championship.
Bayliss is in the lead. Bayliss is leading now.
So Bayliss leads onto the final straight, and he will get up onto the podium, I think, in the championship as well. Brian Starring will come to the line in second place, and Wayne Maxwell will take 3rd and secure 2nd in the championship. But Troy Bayliss, his 2nd race win of the year, and disappointment for Josh Waters at turn 10.
And what a great result for Ted Collins as well, coming over the line 5th. That's a great result for Ted Collins and Matty Walters as well in 6th position.
I think that would be their best races. Their best races of the season.
Absolutely.
Ted Collins in 4th, Matt Walters in 5th. Arthur Cecies will get 6th place. Josh Waters Still waiting to see if he can come around. I think he did actually get on the bike, come around and secure 7th place. Oh, it's going to be very interesting to see how the final championship equation pans out, because the points will have to be added up, and then we'll be able to confirm 2nd, 3rd and 4th in the championship. But Troy Bayliss, his 2nd race win of the year, and a well-deserved one too.
Josh Waters is out of the equation now, isn't he? So it's between Bayliss and Maxwell. Bayliss won, so...
So we'll have to wait for the championship points to come up, but Troy Bayliss takes the win from Brian Starring by 0.231 of a second. Wayne Maxwell in 3rd, Ted Collins in 4th. Congratulations to him in his best result of the season. Matt Walters in 5th, also his best result of the season. Arthur CC's in 6th. Josh Waters finished in 7th. Glenn Scott in 8th. Mitch Levy in 9th, and Mason Coote will round out the top 10.
Of course, 11th is Alex Phillips, and Kyle Buckley took a nice 12th place for him. Troy Herfoss managed to finish in 13th, but there was a problem there. Phil Chai in 14th, Matt Tooley in 15th, Brendan McIntyre 16th, Evan Bowles 17th, 18th was Yanni Shaw, and David Barker rounded out that top 18 as they head into the podium position there. Wayne Maxwell was lucky to get that 3rd position. Good result for him. But Bayliss, he took the win. Can you believe it? It was incredible stuff. And he managed to wrap up 3rd in the championship.
Yeah, Josh Waters back to 4th place in the championship. There wasn't that much in it at the end, but unfortunately for Josh Waters, he crashed out at turn 10. So the final championship points sees Troy Herfoss on 321.5, Wayne Maxwell on 276, Troy Bayliss on 273, 3 points more, 4 points more, and he would have been 2nd in the championship. Josh Waters in 4th, Daniel Falzon in 5th, Brian Starring finished in 6th, Matt Walters in 7th, Al Phillips in 8th, Glenn Allerton in 9th, and Arthur CC's rounds out the top 10. Let's hear from our top 3. They're with Emma.
Wayne Maxwell, you look a little bit disappointed with 3rd, but let's not forget you just secured that 2nd spot in the 2018 championship. Well done.
Yeah, look, happy to secure 2nd. 3rd then, we just weren't quite there. We were in sectors of the track I was really strong, and then other sectors I was just losing too much, just giving away free time. But yeah, happy. You know, this year I've really stepped up my riding. A few little niggling injuries to fix in the off-season, and come back next year super strong.
Fantastic result. Well done, Wayne.
Thank you.
And finishing in 2nd position, Brian Starring, who are just trying to find at the podium. There he is, sneaking away. Brian Starring, congratulations. Welcome back to the podium. You're 1st since Darwin.
Yeah, I know. That's so long ago, isn't it? Yeah, it's been tough. It's been tough for us since Darwin, and it's a really big reward for the team and I to come here and, be super strong in qualifying and get definitely a solid result in the first one, and we're a bit unlucky in the first one. Anyway, that was such a good race. That was such an enjoyable race to ride with, 4 bloody absolute class riders, and unlucky for Josh there in the end. Massive thanks to my BC Performance Kawasaki team. They made all the right moves this weekend, and big thanks to Wallace Risk and Very Sweet Strawberries.
Well done. Thanks, Brian. And ladies and gentlemen, your winner for the final race here in Phillip Island for the 2018 season, your 2nd win for 2018, Troy Bayliss. Well done.
Thanks, Emma. Yeah, I'm really happy. It's the best I've felt on the bike all year. Even in the 2nd race, we made a couple of smaller changes, and it was a pleasure to ride. I really enjoyed it, and this morning after the warm-up, I was sort of a bit down, but that ended up being, I think, the best weekend I've had this year. So I'm all smiles. I want to say thanks to all the guys that support us in our team and the guys that are here every weekend giving us a hand. Most of us a love job. We're not the big team that some people may think we are. We do it tough and we scrape through, but really happy doing it and love our guys.
We have loved watching you back here on a bike this year. Well done, Troy. Thank you.
Guys, cheers.
Congratulations to Troy Bayliss. It's great to have him back in the championship, and I think the level really has lifted this year.
We have more to come after the break as the likes of Jenson Button and Charles Leclerc take on the cream of the crop in GT3 racing in round 1 of the inaugural SRO Esport GT Series.